Despite the marathon military-level talks between India and China, the news coming in from the Ladakh border is not encouraging. WION has learned from sources that amid talks aimed at de-escalation between the two countries, greater mobilization and concentration of troops has been reported on both sides of the line of actual control on Tuesday. Now, according to reports, there are 4 contentious pockets along the line of actual control. Sources have told WION that more meeting will take place in the future as no breakthrough could be achieved in the meeting held on Tuesday. Sources have said that the meeting was held in a business-like manner and both sides emphasized the need for an expeditious, phased and stepwise de-escalation as a priority. During India-China military talks, sources said that the discussion reflected the commitment of both sides to reduce the tensions along the LAC. Now, while there has been a slight reduction of troops in all 4 of these pockets, the overall situation remains tense. The reports of mobilization came despite the 11-hour-long talks between commanders from India and China. Sources are telling us that these talks are likely to extend through to the winter months, ruling out any hope for an early resolution. Our principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sybil, joins us live for more on this. Good afternoon to you, Siddhant. Now, reports from our sources saying that even amid the talks aimed at de-escalation between the two countries, there is more global mobilization and concentration of troops on both sides of the LAC. What is the latest you have?
Well, Alison, the big focus at the talks, which lasted for 12 hours, was disengagement at the LAC, especially from the Chinese side, and that
Now, it seems we have lost connection with Siddhant Sybil. We will be trying to get him back for more on this. This as military-level talks between India and China on the situation at Ladakh along the line of actual control have not resulted in much to this point. We have learned from our sources that amid the talks aimed at de-escalation between the two countries, there seems to be even a greater mobilization and concentration of troops being reported on both sides of the line of actual control. Now, I believe we have re-established connection with Siddhant Sybil. I will just ask you again, just the reports that we are getting at the talks aimed at de-escalation between the two countries. There seems to be greater mobilization and concentration of troops along both sides of the LAC.
Well, yes, Alison, it is clearly disengagement at the LAC remains the top focus of the Indian side, and that was something that was reiterated by the Indian side at the marathon talks that lasted for 12 hours yesterday, starting 10:30 a.m. and going way back into 11 p.m. yesterday. But clearly the Indian side reiterated that when it comes to the consensus that was formed on 6th of June between both the militaries, that remains the key point. That means that the Chinese side needs to move away from the locations they have come before the month of May. We know that in the month of May, the Chinese side had started hindering the normal patrolling pattern of the Indian side. So clearly, the Indian side sticking to the single point of consensus that was arrived on 6th of June, also recalling the conversation between the Indian Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar and his counterpart, the Chinese counterpart, Wang Yi. This was recalled and talked about how there should be a peaceful resolution to the ongoing crisis. But there is a lot of cautiousness dealing with the Chinese now, given the fact that the Chinese side has betrayed the trust of the Indians once, and that is why there will be a long haul. That is what sources are telling us, that can go well into the winter, and therefore these talks are important, making sure that there is no untoward event or development at the LAC. But you never know what the Chinese side might be up to. So by and large, it's a slow process. It's a time-consuming process, and the Indian side is focusing on an early disengagement by the Chinese side. This is something only the Chinese side can tell us, but what sources are also telling us, there is thinning of the Chinese troops at certain locations, but it is very minuscule. It is not up to the mark. More needs to be required because continuous mobilization by the Chinese takes place. And this is something that has shocked not only me, but also many countries across the world, from Tokyo to Canberra to Washington. In fact, one thing I can tell you that today, when the Australian Prime Minister was giving the strategy about the defense for Australia for next 10 years, he recalled the Chinese aggressiveness, especially with India. That is the level of alertness across the world, and this is what China is now dealing with. A lot of anti-China feeling, not here in Delhi, but across the world, many countries, because we have seen amidst the COVID crisis, the Chinese indulging in their own expansionist policy.
Sudan, thank you very much for that report. That's our principal diplomatic correspondent, Sudan Sybil, bringing us the latest on the situation at Ladakh.